Well, Spencer Haywood, Naismith Basketball Hall of Famer, Olympic gold medalist, and the man responsible for the one and done rule, which you would rather be known as the Spencer Haywood Rule, the title of a new book that we're going to be talking about. But first, I wanted to ask you about the coronavirus and the NBA bubble plan to finish out this season. Having played 13 seasons in the NBA, what do you think you'd be thinking as a player in their shoes right now?
Well, I would be thinking I would want to play because it's an opportunity for everyone who is in the playoff cycle to have a chance to participate and to win. And I know a guy like LeBron, he's trying to get that last or the next championship, which would etch him closer to Michael Jordan. So that's it's a big deal. And not only that, but the country is kind of suffering, which is not kind of, but the sports world is suffering. And so sometimes you got to step beyond because we are these so-called superheroes. So let's step up and be heroes. But I know you shouldn't put your life at risk. And I've noticed that a number of players who have been tested positive, they went through maybe 10 days, 14 days, and they're back strong as well. So I think we have it all under control in the bubble in Florida, but perhaps it should have been in Vegas, but that's just me.
That would have been nice. What do you think about the idea that whoever wins will have an asterisk next to that championship because of the circumstances, because not everybody got to finish out the season. There aren't full rosters available because of COVID-19, no home court advantage.
I don't think the asterisk would make a difference because, we are in a pandemic and the players in the NBA is trying to provide entertainment, trying to provide jobs, opportunities for people. So that outweighs asterisks and whatever else that's going to come with this, because it is important that we get back to playing. We have to, as sports, in terms of our second blow took place with the NHL moving from Vegas to Canada or someplace, so I just think we got to get back to work one way or the other, but safely and consciously.
It is a lot of burden for these players entering and knowing that the country needs entertainment and some relief, but also some of them are going to be trying to spread a social message, Black Lives Matter, or wearing names on the back of their jerseys like George Floyd. What do you think about those efforts?
Well, I think because you could do Black Lives Matter, but the name on the jersey should be the player's name and the brand and the logo of the NBA. We have lost so much revenue, and being the former chairman of the board for the NBA retired players, we lost a lot of revenue with the statement from the Houston general manager with China earlier. We lost that revenue, and now we're losing a ton of revenue. We've laid off maybe 110 people in our corporate office, and the players gonna have to step up. And this is a movement, of course, but right now it's about playing, and it's about bringing the shield home so that we can continue to grow. And our pension is on the line too with these guys. So we built this thing for you. So sometimes you got to step outside of your comfort zone and do what is right.
What so the NBA is suffering financially.
Yes, of course. It looked like we're going to lose already $1 billion. $1 billion. I was like, wow, that's a lot of money.
It is. I think some people might say, well, everybody's losing that money.
Everybody's losing, and then life is more important than the money. But if you're in the business of entertainment, should there be a balance that you should strike up?
And then there are guys like Kyrie Irving who have reportedly said players should sit this out as a protest for what's going on in the country with social unrest, that we shouldn't be playing at a time like this. I guess you would disagree with that.
I would disagree with that because the fact that I protested in 1971, went all the way to the Supreme Court, and Kyrie Irving having said, hey, thank you, Spencer Haywood. Any of those people who are setting out, who want to set out, they haven't said, thank you, Spencer Haywood. Well, let's make a change from the Players Association standpoint to change the name to the Spencer Haywood Rule. They have not done those things. They haven't proposed it to me. So, I mean, how can Black lives matter if you haven't taken care of the Black life that took care of you? That's just my political statement for today.
For those who don't know, will you lay out what you were responsible for, what you had to do, all the way to the Supreme Court?
Yes. Well, what happened was before I came along in 70 and 71, you had to wait for 4 years after high school before you could enter into the NBA. So you look at a player like Kyrie Irving, who left in his after his freshman year. He played 1 year. So he's making, say, $40, $45 million a year. So he would not have made $150 million if it wasn't for Spencer Haywood. You see? So, you know, there's cause and there's reality. So I'm just looking at him as an example, but I'll just look at LeBron. He is at $200 million because of this ruling. And they have 4 years on their career, 4 years on their legs, 4 years on their stats. So that's why they're closing in on Kareem. And, you know, Kobe is out front and Jordan is out front, but Jordan played for 3 years, so he's going to be caught.
The new book that is coming out, The Spencer Haywood Rule, tell me about that.
Well, that was a deal that I worked out with former Commissioner Stern. He wanted to celebrate the 50th anniversary of my ruling, and he wanted to be the one who wrote the foreword, and he put me in touch with the book company, and it was just really a beautiful thing. And then he passed, but the book is still coming within 2.5 months, and it's celebrating the 50th anniversary of my ruling at the Supreme Court. It is telling the story of, you know, like what I've done for the economics of the NBA. The NBA, we had 14 teams, and now we have 32 teams. That revenue has been from 200 million or 300 million per team to 2 billion a team. And for players, we have made over $25 billion for player revenue. So that's why the name is important, because you do have the Oscar Robertson rule, you have the Larry Bird rule, but you don't have the Spencer Haywood rule. And you have it they call it one and done, they call it hardship, they call it early entry, but it is what it is. It is the real deal. So we're talking about that. We're talking about the 50th anniversary of the '68 Olympics, because we didn't have it in this year. So we got to have it next year. That is part of it. And I set 4 records in that '68 Olympics as the youngest player in the history of America, as well as the most points in any Olympic Games, and the most rebounds, and the 2 of those stand the highest field goal percentage at 68.
I see a lot of parallels between that Olympics and what's going on now with the bubble. The '68 Olympics, a lot of players did sit out because of the racial unrest. They were asked to by the Olympic Project for Human Rights, but that allowed you the opportunity to go to the Olympics in their place. Do you see the parallels that I see?
Yeah, the parallels are right there now, because they were fighting for police abuse. They were fighting for jobs for the African American community, and so I understood it. But I was there because I to be frank and honest, I'm just an American, and I wanted to play, and I wanted to bring the gold back to America, and so did John Carlos and Tommy Smith, who did the salute. But once they did the salute, they They kicked him out of the village. And so I was just left with George Foreman and I. So we just sit around and eat all of the food. So.
I remember you telling
I
me those
understand.
stories.
I understand. No, George and I were like two young guys on the Olympic team, and we used to there with boxing, and I was there with basketball. And everyone in the Olympic Village on the USA team would say, well, whenever you want to find George Foreman or Spencer Haywood, go to the commissary. So it's a joke.
You're taking all the food from everybody else.
Yeah.
I guess I wonder, you have experienced racism in some brutal ways, yet you say you wouldn't protest this bubble because of the racial unrest in the country currently, and you didn't do it ahead of the Olympics. Mm-hmm. Why?
Well, first of all, I was a young man when I went to the Olympics. I was 19. I was 19 years old. I was 3 years out of Mississippi, the deep, deep south of Mississippi, where we couldn't vote, we couldn't go to the bathroom, we couldn't go to the movie theater. I mean, everything was separated. So I was 3 years removed. I didn't even have a birth certificate. So when I got all my credentials and I got my passport, and the Olympics was here upon us, and they selected me to come and participate, I didn't do what others did. The only one player that boycotted the Olympics, and that was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But the rest of the guys, Elvin Hayes signed a contract, so he eliminated himself by signing a pro contract because it was an amateur games. The same thing with Wesley Unseld and other guys who did not make it. Now, we had Pistol Pete Maravich, who averaged 44 points a game. He didn't make it. Calvin Murphy did not make it, the team. Bob Lanier, a number of players didn't make the team, but nowadays they say, well, I was boycotted. No, you didn't make it.
Well, that's interesting.
Just the facts, ma'am.
Okay. You're spilling the truth, telling it like
yeah, let's just drag it.
Howard Cosell would say.
Who
you got to meet?
Huh?
I was quoting Howard Cosell, telling it like it is, which is what you were doing.
Like it is. Howard Cosell. Boy, did he bug. He bugged me the whole Olympics. You know, it's like, you're young, and let me see what you're going to do when you get to them gold medal round. And by the way, the whole world is watching you. Are you going to make any Black Power salutes? And I was like just sweating bullets and like, man, can you just let me play? You know, and after seeing what America, how they turned on John Carlos and Tommy Smith, no, I wasn't going to do it because my family depended upon me in Mississippi. They were still picking cotton for $2 a day. So I had an opportunity to pull up my family out of the cotton field and give them generational wealth. I mean, it was more important for me to do that. And then later on, I made the stand by going to the Supreme Court and making it possible for all these players. And that was not an easy task because, I mean, they threw me out into the snow. I mean, I feel the pain now. They threw me out into the snow. They would say, ladies and gentlemen, we have an illegal player on the floor, Spencer Haywood. This game cannot, be played without him leaving the arena the grounds in which this arena sat on. And the Chicago Bulls, one night I walked on the floor there. Before they kicked me out of the arena, they sued me for $600,000 in 1971. I'm like 21 years old. I don't have that kind of money. So it was life, and that's what this book is about. And also, we have did a contract with the movie company. So I'm not supposed to talk about it yet, but you're getting it firsthand. So.
Well, you already had a movie.
Yeah, but it's a documentary. This
Okay.
is the real deal. Yeah.
Who's going to play you? Who do you want to play you?
I don't know. I think we should go with some NBA players and see what they have. And if we find the right person there, and then if not, go with an actor, a semi-tall actor, or shoot him up tall or shoot the angles tall. But that's out of my hands.
I'm thinking that you're thinking LeBron.
Yeah, but LeBron is the guy, but is he too old to be a 19-year-old guy anymore?
I see what
And
you
so
mean.
I don't know. I really don't know. There's some players who have reached out, Kevin Durant, other guys who said, "Hey, that's my part," you know. So we should just see who is who is going to walk away with this crown
Well, let's see who starts calling it the Spencer Haywood Rule first.
first and foremost. Yes.
Is that part of the reason why you felt somewhat close to Kobe? Because he acknowledged your work?
Yes, I felt very close to Kobe. Not only Kobe felt and acknowledged that, he brought me in to his office in California. We sat and we talked about doing this movie 2 years ago. And he was the guy who planted the seed with William Morris Agency, for which I went over and sat with them, and we all putting together this package. And that was just so much drama when he passed, because, you know, Kobe wore number 8 in the Olympics. I wore number 8 in the Olympics. Kobe is number 8 and number 24. I was the original number 24. So it was always that kinship. And I played against his dad for 8 years in the NBA. And Kobe was really just a beautiful human being, just a wonderful man who wanted to make a difference and also wanted to acknowledge what I had done for the league and for he and his family. So it was just a great loss. I mean, and his daughter, his family, I mean, it's just such a tragedy.
I know when I reached out to you close to that time, you said you just couldn't talk.
I couldn't. I couldn't. Yeah. And it was just, it hit me so hard. I don't know why I am so akin to all of these players like that, and it's so personal. I you know, my family members keep saying, you are too emotionally involved. You gotta like let it go. And I can't. Those are my guys. I can't.
Was Kobe talking about playing you in the movie?
He was looking at it. He sure was. I mean, it was a special time with the two of us, just talking about it, and just because he was getting ready to win an Oscar for his documentary, the game he was doing. So I saw all of his work he was doing on that, and I just thought, this is the perfect guy for all of this, to be the executive producer and the actor, to lead it and carry it all the way through. And we always had that kinship. He always had big respect for me.
Anything you remember him telling you in your recent conversations prior to his death?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I went to California and we met and we hung out. Yeah.
Would he say, yeah. I mean, would he say things like, thank you, Spencer, or we got to let people know about...
Kobe would like seek me out whenever I was in the building, wherever, sports, when we would have our events here with USA Basketball, we would sit and we would talk, have some lunch, and Kobe he would reiterate over and over. Now, there would be like maybe 15 other players there, but they didn't understand like he did. And they didn't have the passion that he had for another human being who has changed the game for him and made it possible. They just don't have it.
Well, Spencer, I think we've covered almost everything. I remember a few years back you named, in your opinion, the greatest Lakers of all time. Do you mind refreshing my memory of that list?
Let me refresh your memory.
Thank you.
The greatest Lakers of all time, I would have to go with Kareem.
Is this in order?
Huh?
Is this in order?
This is in order.
Okay.
Kareem, Jerry West, because he is the logo. Elgin Baylor. I got to go with the older guys because I got to get them out of the way. Elgin Baylor, Wilt Chamberlain before Elgin, and then Kobe and Magic. And I don't know who else I can put in that group. But that's
Shaq?
Mount Rushmore. Shaq, of course. Yeah, I forgot about Shaq. Shaq is like acting like my agent these days. He is so wonderful. And he has this place here called the Big Chicken.
Yes.
That's a restaurant. Yeah.
I haven't been yet, but maybe I'll check it out.
Well, I told him he has to have some vegan chicken. And he just thought that was just so outrageous.
Are you vegan now?
Well, basically, yes. Yeah.
When did you start that?
I've been dibbling and dabbling maybe 30 years, but I had to go with some fish because my body broke down. And so now I'm back to the vegan life and the religion. No, I'm not into the religion, but
okay. Well,
all the people say when you become a vegan, you have to become the vegan religion.
I haven't heard that because I'm not a vegan, but it's so strict. I mean, I don't know how you guys can eat. There's hardly anything available.
They have a lot of products now, and they have good things. So it's pretty good.
And what was your reason for deciding to go vegan?
I just wanted to be healthier. And I tried it. I like it. And they have the products. Alonzo Mourning, certain guys have been beating me down. Chris Paul is, when I see him, how you doing? What you doing? What you eating? So a lot of these young guys, they think they got to keep me around for a while. So they check on me and make sure I'm doing this. So I kind of get into the flow of things. And then I have 4 daughters. So, life is a different ballgame.
Chris Paul.
Oh, yes. By the way, one more thing. This, the 5th of July, Slam magazine is coming out with this special edition. I think the 25th anniversary of Slam magazine. They have myself, Bill Russell, Kareem, Julius Irving, Michelle and Barack Obama. I mean, all of us got a page in there.
Oh, neat.
It's going to be so awesome.
Oh, that's really cool. And where can we look for your book once it comes out?
Well, it's going to be in all of the bookstores, Amazon, everywhere. But I'm going to come back and give out a number of them because I want all of the schools in Nevada to have a copy for all of the kids to read and to see a life and see how it explores. So we're doing that first and foremost.
You'll have to get back in touch with me then. And who wrote it, by the way? Was it you wrote it with someone? I
wrote it with the great Mark Spears, who with ESPN Undefeated, and Gary Washburn with the Boston Globe. Now, I don't know what you're going to say about that. Boston and the Lakers, how could that happen? It happened.
Well, some good journalists from the Boston Globe, so.
I know. I got one of them.
Spencer, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
And we'll talk soon.
Bye.
Okay, bye.